Morning everyone. Today I am going to discuss about application of conditional probability. It finds a lot of application in solving many problems related with conditional approach or some partial information. But suppose we are having a random experiment, one or two random experiment where what we involve or concatenation of random experiment where we observe some conditioning approach. Then how can we find how can we model that problem using this conditional probability? How to find the probability? Coming to outline of my today's lecture, these are the following outline. First, I would like to discuss in detail about multiplication rule. So you can say that multiplication rule is just an rephrasing of what we have already studied about in the definition of conditional probability. So one another, you can say that restatement of definition of conditional probability, we are calling it multiplication rule. Now coming to second part of this lecture, today I will discuss about independent event. So independent event, suppose we are having two events, then sometimes it is very easy to find dependency between those two events, but sometimes it is very difficult to find dependency between these two events. So in such cases, what we have to do, we have to find conditional probability and have to see the relation of that conditional probability with respect to prior probability. If conditional probability is equal to prior probability, then we will say that the event happens to be independent to each other. Events. Okay. So once we are having idea of independent event, then I will go to discuss in detail about total probability. And all these three ingredients are very important for Bayes theorem. So ultimate aim is to understand Bayes theorem in detail. In order to understand Bayes theorem, we need to understand all these three concepts. So coming to first part of this lecture, that one is regarding multiplication rule. So first, regarding multiplication rule, before going to multiplication rule, I will take one example. That famous example is about the radar detection problem. So what does it say? So it says that if an aircraft is present in a certain area, a radar correctly registered its presence with probability 0.99. Now, another scenario is that if it is not present, then radar falsely registered an aircraft presence with probability 0.10. So we assume that aircraft is present with probability 0.05. Then we have to calculate the probability. First probability, what is the probability of false alarm? So this is the first probability that we have to calculate. Second probability that we need to calculate that what is the probability of misdetection, that radar is that failed to detect an presence of aircraft. So if you try to observe closely here in this column, you will observe two different kind of random experiments. One experiment is talking about presence of aircraft. Another experiment is talking about uh, reading in the radar. That's where we need to introduce two events. So two important events. One event A, we are calling it an aircraft is present. Event B, that we are calling it radar register and aircraft presence. Okay, that is blink kind of thing is coming in that. So due to these two event A and B, further we can uh, introduce two more events based on complementation that we are calling it A complement. It says that aircraft is not present, and B complement. It says that the radar doesn't register anything when aircraft is present. So now in total we are having four elementary events. Based on that, we can construct further event using set theory operation like linear kind of things. So coming to this, in order to solve this problem, here we will apply sequential criteria. That means first we will talk about presence of aircraft, then we will talk about reading by radar. So that's where sequential criteria is working very well here. So, so sequential criteria you can observe like this way. First, it is talking about presence of aircraft, and it is already given that probability of presence of aircraft is 0.05. Due to that, we can easily calculate complemented probability of A complement. That one would be what 0.95. Now, after that, what is happening? We talk about reading by radar. So reading by radar, it is totally a conditional event. So when aircraft is present, what kind of what is the probability of reading radar? It is 0.99 already given. But this misdetection, that means uh, aircraft is present, but there is no reading happening. There is no reading happening in the radar. So that probability, just we have to take it through complementation. It would be 0.01. Similarly, we can also see that it is given that when aircraft is not present, then there is a false reading in the radar. So that probability is what? 0.15. So our desired probability is what? We have to calculate two probability. One probability of misdetection and probability of false alarm. So what would be probability of false alarm? Probability of false alarm, so it is talking about probability of uh, reading in the radar and at the same time aircraft is not present. So that would be false alarm category. And if you try to calculate this probability, it is just we can calculate with the help of conditional probability. Everything is given here. Probability of false alarm is 0.095. Similarly, what is the probability of misdetection? Misdetection is aircraft is present but radar fails to read anything. That we are calling it misdetection. So this probability also we can calculate with the help of this conditional probability. Product, okay. So it is finally coming as 0.0005, almost negligible. Probability of misdetection almost negligible. Now coming to restate that definition of clinical probability. So we construct probability model for experiment. We have when we are having a sequential character, it is often natural and convenient. So that means something happening in nested way. Then we have always approach sequential criteria. So what we do to first specify conditional probability, then use them to determine unconditional probability. So first, anyhow, we try to based on the given partial information, we have to calculate conditional probability. Then we need to calculate unconditional probability. So what we do? So here we apply rephrase the definition of conditional probability like this way. We know that definition of conditional probability say that if suppose we are having have to calculate the probability of A given B. Now how we define it? It is defined as the ratio of probability of A intersected B divided by probability of B. So that things I have already discussed in detail during the first two lecture on conditional probability. So this is the so what we do, we are rephrasing it and bringing this denominator. In denominator we are at probability of B. So bringing probability of B left hand side in that perspective, we are getting this definition. That means we are trying to calculate joint occurrence of event A and B as the product of probability of B into conditional probability of A given B, which is a restatement of the definition of conditional probability, and it is always helpful in this process to calculate joint probability of two events. So we have following general rule for calculating various probability in conjunction with a tree-based sequential description of an experiment. So your tree-based sequential description is very much important. So you can say that it is just end rule approach, or you can say that a tree-based approach. First event B is already happened, after that A is happening. So it is one kind of sequential criteria is coming here. So in more detail, I have taken one example. You can see here another name we can call it chain rule, multiplication rule. Another name we can call it chain rule. So this is particularly useful in situation when we know the conditional probability, but we are interested in the probability of intersection. Okay, by using a tree diagram approach, we obtain the probability at each point by multiplying probabilities on the branches leading that in this approach. Suppose that we are having two event A and B, and these two events happens in sequential manner. That means first we observe here I am taking order like this way. First event A is happening, after that event B is happening. So there is a proper sequential order, and so due to that happening of A, this probability we measure it by probability of A. This one is not if A is not happening, that probability we measure by A, the probability of A complement. Okay. So after that B is happening. So in that process, because A is already happened, after that B is happening, so we encounter conditional probability, that probability of B given A. And if someone is willing to calculate probability, joint probability of A and B, then what would be? It is just product of branch product of probability which are in these branches. So you can say the probability of A intersection B is just product of probability of A into probability of B given A. So it is a what uh, conjunction, this conjunction probability we calculate through product rule or multiplication rule. Similarly, someone is willing to calculate probability of A intersection B complement, then also what would be this one? This would be probability of A times probability of B complement given A. Similarly, we can calculate probability of A complement B in the similar cases. It would be a product of this probability into this probability. If someone is willing to calculate this probability, then what would be this leap? So you can see, if you try to recall from uh, tree structure, then we are calling this one is the first branch. These are the branches, and this one is leaf. So here we can observe like this way. Suppose we are having two events A and B, then how we can calculate conjunction probability of A and B? So it is just product of probability of A into probability of B given A. Or so you can say reverse it out. Like suppose that someone is changing the order of this happening of event. That means suppose first B is happening, then A is happening. In that case, so how we can calculate the joint probability? We can use through product of probability of B into probability of conditional probability A given B. So it depends upon order, which order you. It is very much subjective. What order you want to proceed through, that you can proceed with. Okay, so here what we observe here, there are in total there are two branches, branch one, branch two, and how many leaves we observe? Four leaves. Leaves one, leaves two, leaf three. So there are four leaves. So that's way we can calculate the four conjunction probability using conditional rule. And it- if we are just increasing the number of events, suppose we are taking three events A, B, C, then this probability also this conjunction probability or joint probability also we can calculate with the help of this conditional probability. And here we will observe how many branches. There will be four branches and eight leaves. So in total eight intersected or joint probability we can calculate with the help of conditional probability. Coming further, we set up trees so that an event of interest is associated with a leaf. We view the occurrence of event as a sequence of steps, namely the traversals of the branches along the path from the root to the leaf. Root would be a starting point. We record the conditional probability associated with the branch of the tree. We obtain the probability of a leaf by multiplying the probability recorded along the corresponding path of the tree. In mathematical terms, we can say that we are dealing with an event A which occurs if and only any of each one of the several events like from A1 to A1 has already happened. That means joint occurrence of this n number of events is talking about occurrence of A. So, so that's why if you are willing to calculate probability of A, then we have to apply multiplication rule over this event. And it's coming like this way. So what would be probability of A? It would be probability of A1 times probability of A2 given A1 times probability of A3 given A1 A2, and likewise it will be like this way. So it is just a generalization of that multiplication rule that has been replaced from definition of conditional probability. So it is generalization. How many events we are taking together, and if you try to visualize graphically, so this is the graphical visualization of multiplication rule for general case. Okay. Coming to another example, so suppose in a factory there are 100 units of a certain product, five of which are defective. We pick three units from the 100 unit at random. What is the probability that none of them are defective? So we need to calculate it. So in order to do that, what we do, we introduce that those elementary events that we are calling it AI as the event that ith chosen unit is not defective. For so for I equal to 1 to 3, because we are picking three items or three units. Okay, so what we have to do, we are interested in order to calculate the desired probability. We have to calculate probability of A intersection A1 intersection A2 intersection A3. So this probability we need to calculate. So what we have to do, first we can easily calculate probability of A1. What will be probability of A1? It will be among 100 units, 5 is defective. So that's the probability of A1 would be 95 by 100. What would be probability of A2? It would be 95 by 99, because one has been already selected or picked. There is no replacement. So that's where probability of A2 given A1 would be 94 by 99. Similarly, probability of A3 given A1 A2 would be 93 by 98. So we are having all these prior probability and desired conditional probability. So now we can easily calculate joint probability with the help of multiplication. Coming to another concept of today's lecture that we are calling it independence. What is independence, or what are independent events? So consider we are having event A. Let A be an event that it runs tomorrow, and suppose that the probability of running tomorrow is 1 by 3. Okay. Also suppose that I toss a pair coin, and let be the event that it lands head. That probability of getting head in toss is that it is 1 by 2. So now, if someone is asked, or suppose I am asking, what is probability of A given B? What is your guess? What would be your guess? What would you answer? Probably you may come with answer that probability of A given B, that conditional probability is equal to 1 by 3. That one is same is equal to probability of A. So it simply says that the happening of B doesn't affect the happening of A. So what do we observe that we can simply say that A and B are independent events. That's what is happening. That means we know that tossing a coin doesn't affect the random ran doesn't affect the ran. So it is very much obvious from common sense that these two events happen to be independent to each other. But if we mathematically calculate, mathematically we have to justify this, then we need to calculate these two probability, this prior probability and this conditional probability. And if you come to see that these two probability are same, then we can see that these two events would be independent to each other. The result of my coin toss doesn't have anything to do with tomorrow's weather. Does not matter if B happens or not, the probability of A should be unchanged. This is an example of two independent events. So, two events A and B are independent if and only if probability of A intersection B it will be given by just product of the prior probability, or simply we can say that conditional probability is equal to prior probability. Then we can say that these two events would be independent to each other. What does it further if we try to talk about the independence? What does independence mean? It means that we can multiply the probability of event to obtain the probability of joint occurrence. Or equivalently, we can say that conditional probability of one event given another is the same equal to original or prior probability. Sometimes the independent probability of two events is quite events seem to not have any interaction with each other. Due to that independence is by default it is coming. Now, at other times it is not as clear, and we need to check if they satisfy the independence condition or not. That means we need to calculate the joint probability. We need to calculate. For that perspective, I have taken one example. So one example, it says that I pick a random number from 1 to 10 and we call it n. Suppose that all outcomes are equally likely. Let event A be the event that n is less than 5 and B is the event that n is an even number. So can we say that A and B are independent? Let us see. So directly we can't say anything. So what we do, we will try to calculate probability of A, probability of and corresponding conditional probability. So here sample space is already given. It is contained, and this one is the event A that is less than 7. That is it contains 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is the event B that contains even numbers, that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, and the common intersected element of this. So if just try to go for elementary probability, from there we come across to see that probability of A is zero point 0.6, probability of B is zero point 0.5, probability of A intersection B is zero point 0.3. Now we try to calculate conditional probability. What is conditional probability? So that means how many times A is happening within B. So it is 3 times. So 3 by, and how many elements are in B? 5. So it would be 3 by 5. Now if you simplify in decimal number, it is zero point 0.6. So what we observe that for conditional probability of A given B is equal to probability of A, that prior probability A. So simply we can say that event A and B are independent of each other. So here, directly it is not very much clear that A and B are independent or not. But once we are able to calculate conditional probability or joint probability, from there it is very much clear that A and B are independent. Now we are taking another example. I toss a coin repeatedly until I observe the first tail at which point I stop. Let us, that means once we get a tail, we stop. So let X be the total number of coin tosses. Okay. So we have to find probability of x equal to 5. That means at fifth toss we are getting a tick. That probability we have to find. So usually when we are tossing a coin, each experiment, each trial happens to be independent to each other. So in order to calculate probability, so here each in every trial, what is happening in one trial, what outcome, every outcome in one trial is always independent of outcome in another trial. So that's why if you try to calculate probability of this specific event, so it would be just product of uh, outcome in those first five uh, experiment. So in total, probability of x equal to 5 it would be 1 by 30. Another example, suppose that the probability of being killed in a single flight is 1 by 4 into 20 to the power 6 based on available statistics. Assume that the flights are independent. Different flights are independent. If a businessman takes 20 flights per year, what is the probability that he is killed in a plane crash within next 20 years? And we are putting one assumption that he will he will not die because of another reason within next 20 years. The total number of flights that he will take during the next 20 years is how many? 20 times 20. That means 400 flight he will take in the next 20 years. Let us assume that PSE with a probability that survive in a given single flight. That's why PS would be 1 minus probability of death, being killed, or that means PC. 1 minus PC. So what is desired probability? So desired probability in that perspective. So here, what using due to independent nature of the flight, each every flight. So desired probability of survival in flight will be product of all these survival probability PS up to n times. So PS to the power n, and it can be roughly calculated as it would be 1 into 10 to the power minus 5. Very less. Okay. Now, further a few remarks would be there. So sometimes there is a misconception that people are unable to identify the difference between independent and disjoint event. So what is happening? There is a much difference. One common mistake to confuse independence and being disjoint. They are completely different concepts. When two events A and B are disjoint, it means that one of them occurs. That means if we say that A and B are disjoint, that's uh, if A is happening, that B will not happen, or vice versa. So simply you can say that happening of A kills the happening of B. So exclusiveness is coming here. So due to that, apart from that disjoint nature, uh, happening of A definitely talk about happening of B as well. That means if A happens, it simply say that B is not going to happen. So that's why in one way it is talking about happening of B. So it can't if any two events which are disjoint, that definitely those two events can't we say that those are independent. They are dependent actually. If it is disjoint, if these two are disjoint. There, this example I would like to solve it. So, three cards are drawn from ordinary 52 cards deck without replacement. That means the drawn card are not putting going back to deck again. So we used to find the probability that none of the cards is hard. We assume that at each step, each one of the remaining card is equally likely to be picked. By symmetry, this example this implies that every triplet of card is equally likely to be drawn, and a cumbersome approach is to count the number of all cards triplet that do not include a card and divide it with number of all possible card triplets. Indeed, we use a sequential description of this sample space in conjunction with multiplication rule to define the event. This event. So event is AI. It is saying that ith card is not a card. That means I here how many cards? Three cards we are drawing. So that's why I will be one, two, three. And the probability of none of the three card is hurt is just intersection of a1 a2 a3 probability of, and this we know this we can calculate easily. And if you ask you to find the conditional probability, this conditional probability easily we can calculate this one. That means how many hearts are there in a deck of 52 cards? 13. So if you remove 32, remove 32. uh, so how many card you will have? 39. That's a probability of uh, probability that none is a heart in the stack of 52. It would be 39 by 52. Similarly, if we have taken out one heart, then the probability will reduce to 38 by 51, and here it will come 37 by 50. So if you try to visualize this probability in sequential or graphical pattern, we can visualize like this way. So desired probability we can calculate by multiplying the respective probability, and we will get the desired probability. Okay. Now, further coming, like, we are taking one more question. It is very interesting question. It says that in a class which is consisting of 4 graduate and 12 undergraduate students, that one is randomly divided into four groups of each group contains four students. So we have to find the probability that what is the probability that each group includes a graduate student. We interpret randomly to mean that given the assignment of some of a student to certain slot, any of the remaining student is likely to be assigned to any of the remaining slot. So we then can calculate the desired probability using by multiplication rule based on sequential description. So what we do in order to simplify this problem in a systematic way, we denote the graduate student by 1, 2, 3, and 4, and consider the following event. Event 1, it says that a student 1 and a student that graduate student 1 and graduate student 2 both are in different group. Event 2, it says that graduate student 1, 2, and 3, all these three are in different groups. And event A3, it says that although those four graduate students are in different. Okay, so if you try to calculate probability of A1, what would that means? Graduate student 1 and 2 are in different class. What would be this probability? How we can calculate? We can calculate this in a negative approach. What does it means? So if you take a, so we are having four blocks that uh, we are trying to make four groups. So each group contains one graduate student. Suppose one is sitting here and two is coming here. So what we do? So we try to calculate this scenario. So how many possibilities are there? Yeah, what is the probability? Simply, what's the probability that is this scenario will have? So what we do, I will calculate this in negative sense. Suppose that one is sitting here. Now, what is the probability that two will come in this group? Because one has already taken one place out of four. So probability of coming two in this box would be what? 3 by 15. So, but we have to calculate that a student probability that a student 1 and 2 both should not be in the same group. So it would be what? 1 minus 3 by 15. If you simplify it, then probability of A1 would be 12 by 15. Similarly, we can calculate probability of A2 given A1. It would be 8 by 12, and probability of A3 given A1 and A2 would be 4 by 13. Similar concept we can apply it here, and through that we can calculate all the probability. Okay, so what is our desired probability? Desired probability will calculate probability of A3. So probability of A3 is nothing, just it is intersection of A1, A2, A3 probability. So again, what we have to do here, we have to apply multiplication rule. So by applying multiplication rule, or simply you can say that apply chain rule, and or simply you can visualize from this tree diagram. So desired probability is this one: 12 by 15 into 8 by 14 into 4 by 30. Okay, so coming to last part of this lecture, law of probability. So here I won't go in detail about law of probability. What I will discuss that today I will discuss about partition of a sample space. So if you are having a sample space from a random experiment, then easily we can introduce a partition. So I'm plotting a Venn diagram. So this is the situation of a sample space due to a random experiment. So partition, it would be like this way. So partition, what are the criteria? There are three criteria for being a partition. So partition must be mutually exclusive. Every partition must be mutually exclusive, and mutually exhaustive as well. So this kind of partition. So you can call it like this way. Call it A1. A, I have taken notation for what we call it event. So better I will take notation B1. B1 is the first partition, uh, first member of partition. B2 is second member of the partition. Likewise, this is calling, we are calling it Bn, last member. So here we observe that 3 being a partition, so we will say that events B1, B2, B3, likewise up to Bn, it will form a partition of this sample space omega if the Bi's are mutually exclusive. Any, if you take any two, these two events, and these two members are happen to be mutually exclusive. That means Bi intersection Bj is empty. Empty for all I not equal to j varies from 1 to n. So you can say that pairwise. So these Bi's are pairwise disjoint or mutually exclusive. You can say that up to I not equal to j, j up to n. Okay. Second property, it says that collectively exhaustive. These events happen to be collectively exhaustive. That means if you take union of all these member of partition, that means B1 interest union B2 union, it will go up to B1. It is equal to complete sample space. So you can say that it is exhaustive in nature. And third property, it say that no member of partition is a null set or empty set. So every Bi is happens to be non-empty. So all these are three are essential criteria of being partition of a sample space. So you can observe that. That means simply you are uh, introducing a partition, same concept that you have already gone through Riemann integration, that we are doing a partition of a given interval. So here we do partition of a set. So sample, we are having a sample space happens to be a set. So we do partition of a sample space. Like so, this Bi is defining a partition of a sample space.